We'll call to. Are we ready? We'll call to order the regular city council meeting for Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. If everybody would please rise and join me with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, the first item on our agenda is to approve the amended agenda.
So move. I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next item is the consent calendar.
I'll move it. And I will second again.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Open forum. This is a chance for public comment. Seeing none, we will close open forum. Reports, city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Good evening, members of the council. My written report is provided in your packet. I provided an update on the 2023 goals thus far, and just some project updates and our budget updates, which we just completed our truth and taxation meeting here at 6 o'clock. So just want to say that I'm grateful for the city council and for the staff, and think we had a great year, and looking forward to next year. Any questions for me?
Anyone?
I wouldn't say more so a question, but in regards to the legislative updates, do you have anything that you anticipate in the month of January that's going to be coming before us?
Nothing significant right away. I think there's going to be a lot of initial work getting, things, restarted from the legislature. So,
Okay.
yes.
City attorney.
Good evening, everybody. I don't have anything to report here unless anybody's got any questions for me.
None. Okay, city engineer.
Good evening, everybody. I don't have anything to report. Might be some questions for me later though.
Quick question for both you and Jenny. We got the trail. Everybody should have gotten the trail information emailed to them. If we have any questions, do you want us to just forward them to Jenny, to you, or how do you all want to do that? That's the best way, or?
Yeah, I would say send them to me and I'll route them through with Amber to
Okay.
Joe.
Yeah,
as
that's it.
appropriate. Yep.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, on to new business. So that brings us to F1.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be the bad boy tonight and I'll move the resolution. F1.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussions from anyone on council? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item is a resolution adopting the city of Nisswa budget for calendar year 2023. You want to talk about it first, or is everyone good? Anybody have any questions on it? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the city of Nisswa budget for the calendar year of 2023 as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Recommendation from Planning Commission reference the rezone from Harry Rosinski, Tom Briggs, and Kent Marthaler. And ordinance amendment. Go ahead, Bethany.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Ryan and council. The applicant is requesting an amendment to rezone parcel 28140663, currently located off of Commons Drive, from open space residential to highway business. This area was initially considered by our 2009 19 future land use map as an area identified as being best suited for conservation, subdivision, and development using conservation principles. In the last few years, the city sewer has expanded, resulting in zoning changes to the west of the subject parcel, and a backage road has been proposed, making this parcel not suited for open space residential development and more in keeping with the purpose and intent of the highway business zoning designation as outlined in our ordinance. City staff supports this rezone, and the Planning Commission voted unanimously at the December 6th regular Planning Commission meeting to recommend approval of this zoning map amendment to the City Council.
Anyone have any questions for Bethany?
I don't have any questions, more so than just some comments about this specific one. As we're gonna be getting into 23 and beyond, there's obviously been a backage road that's been presented. Public is aware of it. With that's gonna come, I would say this is probably one of the first rezonings or getting close to it.
To my knowledge, yes.
Yeah, I think mine too. So I have been asked by some other local landowners in that area about what's to be done. That is putting some of their development plans on hold, or I should say pause. They are very curious as to how we're gonna go about this. What's the timetable? What's the funding? How's the property gonna be acquired? I definitely think it should be on the docket as to what's gonna partake on that specific backage road. I know that Jenny and I had a phone call, state of Minnesota, representative of the governor's office for infrastructure. I don't even remember her title actually, top of my head, but right, Rachel Dame. She gave us some good insight as to how and where to go for some funding on this, but I think that this is going to be something that we definitely are going to need to try to push because there's a survey out. We have it hanging on our city hall walls, and with that, it'll really help dictate what some of these landowners do. So passing on some concerns and I should say minor frustrations, and then hopefully we can come to a conclusion. But otherwise, on this specific one, I think we addressed most of the waterfront issues that were presented by some of the local neighboring properties. So
Yes, our ordinance outlines clearly criteria that we need to consider when rezoning properties. And they are listed 6 through 19 in the findings of facts. And if you have any questions on those answers, I'd be happy to help with that. I'm sorry, 20.
Yeah, I just had a question. I see that's the 9.5 acres of designated wetland area on it. But I'm not sure, I couldn't find what is the total acreage,
I think just shy of 20
just shy of 20?
total land. Isn't that right, Bethany?
Total, it was, excuse me, total, I believe it was 30,
37. It was up 40, not 20.
yeah, it was 30, I'm sorry.
I think it was close to 30.
Yep.
I believe so. Does that help?
Yeah, was it
30.
30?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. And then there was also a ordinance amendment is
Separate.
part of the same. Or is that a
Yes,
separate?
the rezone
The
is
rezone.
Okay,
completed
all
via
right.
ordinance
But I
amendment.
just, the way it was written, I was reading it anyway. Okay.
I have no other questions.
That's the first.
Comments?
Okay. So we have
Make a motion.
you make a motion?
I will.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning application for Karazinski, Tom Briggs, and Kent Marthaler for property. Got ahead of myself. Parcel 2A1406663 from open space residential to highway business.
I'll second that.
Further
Would you-
discussion?
Would you agree that we should adopt the findings of fact in the motion?
And I agreed on that motion to include the findings of facts. Yes.
and then your second.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Mayor, can we also have a motion to publish the ordinance summary in the newspaper?
I'll make such a motion.
No second?
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Recommendation from the planning commission reference proposed fee schedule. Anyone have questions or did Bethany on this?
Yeah.
The changes being recommended are not tremendous. We were pretty much in the zone for most of the stuff. So
Okay.
So as stated in the memo provided in your packet, this last spring, the Planning and Zoning Department was tasked to look into the current permit fees process and evaluate for any changes. Land use permit data was collected over the course of the year. Other municipalities' fee schedules were studied, and an analysis of our valuation based fee schedule compared to a square footage fee schedule was compiled. And after the data was presented at last month's planning commission meeting, it was decided that the city of Nisswa would propose an increase in planning and zoning fees to be more in keeping with other cities and to make sure a large enough portion of the costs were being collected, and that a land use permit fee based on square footage and not valuation would be created. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have concerning the proposed fee schedule for 2023.
Does anyone have any questions of Bethany?
I'm sure we'll find changes as we go along that we didn't think about.
Okay,
We usually do.
yeah, I was gonna say we always do. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the proposed fee schedule changes presented by the planning and zoning commission as presented.
I'll second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approved joint prosecution services agreement. Does anyone have a question on what this is? This is our, or does everyone understand it? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the council approve the joint prosecution services agreement between the cities of Brainerd, Baxter, and Nisswa as presented by city staff.
I'll second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is approved fire department officers as presented for 23-24 year 23-24. Anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The seventh one is a request about the using of ARPA funds to purchase wildfire gear. The memo is pretty self-explanatory. Chief Bailey was able to secure a $5,000 grant with a $5,000 match from his budget. So that leaves approximately
15,000.
I was looking for the number. I had it highlighted on a different page. 15,000 that would outfit the entire department. It was something I threw out to Chief Bailey and Jenny. I know I believe you guys talked about it. And you know, he was looking at implementing it, but I was thinking if we have this money, let's get all of our members outfitted with the proper gear. And then he can start factoring it into his budget. You know, how long is that gonna last? How much do we need to kind of put away, kind of like they do for the other gear that they know every X number of years there, every year they're gonna buy X a number of this or that or whatever. We can start amortizing it out so that they always have what they need. They can play catch up and get the gear that they need to do this correctly. So that was my request, or what I thought, what everybody wanted to do. I personally think we should do it. I want them to get the gear they need so they're out there. I hate to say it this way, as comfortable as you can be when you're out there in those conditions, but at least they're not wearing, they're wearing the proper stuff. They're able to move and maneuver and do things much more easily.
And this is all part of safety,
Yep.
definitely safety, so I think we should.
So I'd entertain a motion. Huh?
Also move.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Use ARPA funds? Anything,
You want
Jenny?
that motion a little bit clearer?
No, if it's as recommended using ARPA funds, they were planning on outfitting the
Yep.
10 sets in January. So we wanted to ask the question now so that if they were going to do more, they would do them all at the same time and get that all taken care of.
So without further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Hi,
Aye, opposed, carried. Part-time staff 2023 pay schedule recommendation.
So this one has a few components to it. The liquor committee spent some time discussing the part-time wage schedule. Brian, our Spirits of Nisswa manager, spent a lot of time doing research, comparable wages with other retail entities in our area. I looked at wages with other municipal liquor stores. We tried to compile a lot of information, and we had a few conversations along with council members on about how to move forward with the part-time pay schedule for 2023. In my conversations with our consultant, who we use now for our wages and compensation, David Drown and Associates, his recommendation is the city develop some kind of plan to eliminate the part-time pay schedule, because we have a step and grade system. We have job descriptions that reflect the pay scales, and he didn't see why it makes a lot of sense. He's seen it before. It's not an unknown to do it, but he definitely recommends that we move forward to try to just have one pay scale for all employee, regardless if they're part-time or full-time, because if you do the jobs within that position, then you get paid the according rate. And so one of the components is our current part-time pay schedule is 83% of our full-time rates. And one of the recommendations here is to move that from 83% to 93%. So a 10% adjustment for all of our part-time employees outside of our tipped employees, which would be the ones at the pickle. That is in part because they receive tips. So there's another compensation component to that. But that is definitely recommended to be looked at in more depth when we do our next compensation study in 2024. So we will continue that conversation. I did speak with Amber Moon Peterson, our Parks Director, and Tom Blommer, our Public Works Director, about the impact, because they both have seasonal and part-time staff as well. They were supportive of this adjustment to 93%. To hopefully provide a little more enticing wages for when they're trying to recruit for seasonal staff and things like that as well. So that is the first component to this, is moving that pay scale. So we will for a year have 2 part-time pay scales. So it's not super clean, but it's a move in the right direction for the positions we feel is necessary for that. Knowing in about a year, we're going to start with the compensation study conversation again. As part of this discussion, Brian has a compensation plan recommendation for how he will move his liquor store staff, his clerks, through the step schedule. So you can see outlined in number 2, items A through D. The job performance evaluation will be completed for new employees. If someone's a key holder, there's a recommendation for how that will be handled. And if someone is no longer a key holder, then it would be adjusted back as well. Brian's here, so if you have questions about that, he'd be glad to answer them. And with the proposed part-time adjustment to 93% for next year, we will not come forward next summer with the summer pay adjustment request. Again, we're going to put that all in that compensation study for 2024. And then we would remain, the 83% schedule would remain for the tipped employees at the pickle for this year. Again, looking at that in 24. So those are the 4 recommendations for the part-time pay schedule. The schedules are attached for you as well, so you have the reference, and I'm happy to answer questions. I hope it was somewhat clear. And if Jesse has comments, certainly by all means.
and this is already included in the 2023 budget as well.
Yes.
Mhm.
Pretty thorough research that Brian's done. Jenny's done a lot of legwork. They've worked very well together on having a thorough plan. I had really no questions or doubts through the process. I think this is fair, especially with what private businesses in this area are paying some of their employees, and for us to be competitive and offer a fair wage to those that work within the city, specifically at Spirits on the liquor committee side, I think this is gonna be much more of a smooth roadmap to having a good plan for the long-term future of pay structures for our employees. So. I have any other questions on mine?
I have no questions. There's nothing else. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the part-time staff 2023 pay schedule recommendations as presented.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next item is a job responsibility change and step advancement. This was the other part of, I think, what Jenny was talking about, where key people that are taking on additional responsibilities and things.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
this comment is in the same category as hot water heaters.
yeah,
You wanted to go on the third paragraph in this background. It says he will be at grade 3, step 3, 1571 per hour with the promotion. She,
yeah.
we should change that.
Dan is, yeah, you drop the S on she.
Now.
Yeah.
Picky point, but I like hot water heaters and stuff like this.
Thank you for catching that.
Why, hey, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Was that, Mr. Mayor, can I move this?
Yes.
Approval
Yes,
with the change.
with the change. Okay, I'll second it, Don,
Thank you.
With the
Okay.
change.
with the change. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, number 10, authorization to bid for roundabout project.
This is exciting. This is a milestone we've been waiting for a long time, the next two items, but Joe, did you have anything to add to this? I mean, really, the plan is to, once we get approvals from,
We are asking, we're asking for contingency approval based on, we got state agency right now doing review. Should be no problems with that. The county review, I've talked to a couple of them too, that'll go for the trail project, but we're pushing it a little bit because I want to get this on the books to advertise as soon as we can. It would go till February, or when would it be? January, the next council meeting. Yeah, and sometime between the next council meeting and this one, we'll get approval to move forward. So from the county and state, I won't do it without it. And then at such time, then we'll put it in after bid. Great if I heard it this week, then if you guys give us approval, I would put it in we'd put it in next week, but I'm thinking probably might have to wait 1 or 2 weeks before that'll be the case. Provided you give permission to move forward.
and this is just to go out for bid. So this is not committing to the project or anything like that. This is just to actually get some numbers on what we might be looking at for the project.
Thank you very much.
Project has went up from originally, I think, a little bit, but
I will entertain a motion.
Right, I'll move the resolution in the city of Nisswa to request bids for the construction of a project involving CSAH 77 and the Combs Avenue roundabout as presented.
No, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next one, item is authorization for bid for Gull Lake Trail Project.
the same thing applies here. I'm sorry, I did turn it in
Oh, we did? Okay.
after. Same thing applies here. We are gonna ask for contingency until I get back formal reviews. And again, I've talked to the county on a couple of these. We're on par. We've done what they needed. This project, it's probably more important than any to get an estimate on because I think, due to the, well, you guys know the history of the inflation and everything else. My numbers that I'm seeing working with, I go off the state, we go, other bids that we've used in the past year and I use those, and a little gut feeling too, to put my numbers on there. But we went up about $2 million since the
Yeah.
last time we had an estimate on this. A little bit more work in there because we've got some more retaining walls and more boardwalks, which thankfully they're not on Nisswa side. Unfortunately, they're on Lakeshore side. And as an FYI, I think I have it on that estimate. If you looked at it at the bottom there, we're about a 60-40 right now. What the split would be, 40% being Nisswa, 60% being Lakeshore on the total cost of the construction effort and any splits that would happen with anything else on the project.
Is there any problem with doing this prior to securing anything else we need secured?
No, that's why I'm doing a contingent. We can't, won't do it until I get back the any kind of comments. We have gotten back comments from both counties. They've been pushed back. Terry, last night's meeting, Terry had actually talked to the county engineer for Cass County. And he said, "No, they're sitting on my table. They're fine. They'll get to signing them." Like anybody else. And the only other real thing with this thing is the cost, you know, and that part of it's due because we've added some things to it. Part of it's due to just the inflation. In particular on Nisswa side, Hazelwood Drive, there's a couple of properties there that there's some options on that one time we had discussed. I put them in on the estimate. It's easier to take it out than to put it in later.
Yeah.
So I put the highest one in, whatever is decided on that, we'll just remove it after the bid. It won't be a big problem. Yeah. Just scratch it out.
Anybody have any other questions?
Just a comment. I got all the comments or some of the comments of the people who are, I'd say objecting to, or want to see something different. We have quite a number of those. Is that going to make any problem doing what you want us to do tonight?
No, I don't see a problem with it because, you know, those are. If there was a significant change in the cost or significant change in the trail project due to any kind of situation like that, we would probably need to go back all the way to the granting agency in order to seek approval. So anything that happens that's going to be a large, we would have to probably recirculate.
So these complaints from some citizens isn't going to make that much of a difference in the cost.
And that's why on a couple of them that I know about that we have been discussing, I put those numbers in here so that worst case scenario, it is what it is. Best case scenario, we make some other agreements, the costs come.
I'll entertain a motion. I'll make a motion authorizing the bid for the Gull Lake Trail project as presented.
Well, second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 12, set organizational meeting date for Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. This would be a date that we set. It needs to be set as early as we can in January. New council members will be sworn in, elected, re-elected, or anyone will be sworn in at that time. And then we'll set our council liaison positions and things for the year, for the upcoming year. Does 5:30 p.m. work for everybody? Joe? Yeah. Okay. All right.
possible, I would like to make it at 6.
We
Right.
have planning commission at 6, so that's why we're trying to.
Oh,
get it
that's
in
right,
before
yeah.
that. So.
Okay,
Are you working?
but I can get out earlier.
I don't know if anybody can make a different, that Tuesday, the 3rd, right?
Works for me.
Monday, the 2nd work for anybody? Monday,
That
the-
Monday will
works
be
for
the
me.
holiday.
huh?
That'll be the holiday, New Year's holiday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
You can pick another day, by all means, that's not an issue, so. if-
No, that, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, no, January 3rd works, so I just, I guess January 3rd, 2023. I need a motion for that, to set our organizational meeting.
I'll make a motion that the city council set the organizational meeting date for Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023 at 5:30.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Uh,
Aye, opposed, okay. Should we
14.
flop 14 for 13? Okay, so we're gonna change so 14 is now 13. Jenny?
Oh, thank you. Okay, so this is a late addition. I apologize for that. I've been working with our IT company, CTC, and have some information to provide to you. This is due in part kind of the expedited process here because our police department has been experiencing some issues with our current IT infrastructure when they are communicating with other agencies. And that is a new thing that came to my attention. We did have a conference call with CTC. Officer Rooney was a part of that conversation, so they could talk the same language and communicate about what the issues were. And ultimately, CTC is now Extona, and we currently use them for services, and they have provided us great service and provided us a new quote for some additional services, and it is a significant increase. There are also there's a significant improvement to what we will receive as far as infrastructure with our backup capability, antivirus, firewalls. There's a plan to migrate the police department email into a more secure format. That is something that I will work with CTC to understand what the process would look like next year to move the rest of the city emails so we can all be under one domain. Having a .gov email address is much preferred, especially for law enforcement. It lends to credibility and things like that. So I need to understand that a bit more, but we want to be more cohesive in that way. We're currently paying $1,000 a month to CTC for their services, and with all of the expanded services, the new cost would be $2,811 a month. And so I wanted to bring this to you. I know it's a significant ask. I believe I can incorporate this. Potentially something would need to be cut or adjusted within our budget, but I don't want to change what we just approved tonight within our budget. And look to keep that in whole the right way. I know we don't, we're not so tight that we don't have any, flexibility, but it is certainly a significant new cost. So apologize for that. I welcome your feedback. I do think we're going to be moving this direction as far as what's necessary. One example of the things that we would have the capability to do is instead of if our system went down and we needed to access our backups, potentially instead of days, we're talking minutes or hours to receive our data and get back up and running. So it's a significant improvement and something that we want to be mindful of how we step through that. But it's a big cost. So I will stand for your questions.
So the police department is good. Officer Rooney is good with this. It works for him. There's
Yes.
not
Yeah.
any issues there.
Yeah.
And the new data or the new cameras and things that we approve
Mm-hmm.
for them to purchase, this is not gonna change anything there.
No,
It should all be.
That will
compatible.
all integrate. Yes.
Okay.
TTC works and understands how that works.
Okay. All right,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I may be in left field on this one, but usually something comes in and it's close to a deadline, like the meeting, and we get it at the last minute. I get a little nervous about that. This is a single supplier. As far as I know, there was no other competition for this, just CTC. And then the price goes up from the current 12,000 a year to 33,000 plus 33,700 a year, almost 3 times. My antenna goes up a little bit. I understand inflation and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering that they're supplying some significant changes, according to this memo, that we haven't had before. I'm just wondering if we should be looking at this a little more closely than we are right now. See if there's another supplier. I always like to get 2 bids if I can. $33,000. It's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money. Put it different ways. It just makes me a little nervous. And if we could move it to like the first meeting in January to reconsider or see if staff can do something to get this a little more squared away. I like that, but that's me. And those are just the concerns I have. I'm nothing against the company. So,
Jenny, what exactly are the issues that the police department is having when it comes to their current?
The best way I can describe it is that our system needs to connect to another system. And there are security authentication requirements and things that have to happen. And we don't have that level of sophistication within our systems to match what state agencies are now requiring of local jurisdictions. Does that make sense? So they're operating up here and they're saying you need to be able to connect in a better way that they're having troubles doing that now. So I'm sorry, I would have had Officer Rooney here if I had a little bit more organization on this one, but it's certainly something we can bring back to the council. I don't know that this locks us in, meaning we could still do some homework and move forward with some of the police department things, but I understand, and we can certainly do some more research and provide more information to you if you feel more comfortable with that.
I believe Chief Taylor mentioned something about our communications with other offices a while back. And there's something like in the Minnesota, like one software has about 80% compatibility with I mean, there's a very few software out there. And this is the majority software, I believe. I mean, I'd like to confirm that, but I think I was wondering if this is what he was talking about. So.
I'm not sure specifically. Yeah.
Well, I understand, but they're probably having difficulty connecting with the county and then with state BCA, and then getting into the CGIS system and getting to the CJIS system, and then getting into the federal systems, et cetera, depending on your link. And it must have something to do with, I think I talked to you earlier about, do they have their own IP address? Is it a dynamic IP or is it a static IP? And I don't think we were sure on which one it is. So that makes a difference because they have to have a level of security to hook up to certain websites and certain services such as BCA, et cetera. So I'm open to whatever anyone wants to do. I understand Don's position. I don't disagree with it. Is it something that we can come back to in January for them? It's not going to affect the budget or anything. Maybe even Officer Rooney could be there and
Yeah. I will follow up with specifically if there is, I know it's time sensitive for the police department, but I don't know if 30 days is, an issue or not. If there's any major issues, I can follow up. And if we need to piecemeal one component of this, I can communicate with the council how we need to approach that in the short term. And then I'll work with Chief Taylor and Officer Rooney on some more details. We'll try to vet if there are other companies that do the same. I know there's IT companies, but doing equivalent work and trying to understand and vet those details.
Have
We
we
can
been
talk about
happy
that.
with CTC's IT?
Very much, yes.
All staff has?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can
Well,
certainly do that.
I didn't bring it up to derail anything, but just I had a concern.
Well, I understand.
Sales feels the same way.
I don't disagree nor agree. I feel the same way as you do. I understand it's time sensitive. 13th hour type thing, you know, it's like the state legislature snuck this CBD thing in there last minute and we'll have to deal with it. It would have been nice to have a presentation or at least discussion by Officer Rooney or even Chief Taylor.
Officer Rooney.
Officer Rooney, yep.
No offense to Craig, but he understands this stuff as good as I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Officer Rooney.
So I want everybody to have the tools that are necessary.
Yeah.
This is citywide, so it's not specifically just for one department.
Well, this, I mean, it looks like this fix needs for them so they can stay connected.
And I don't know, I know that there's, again, it's urgent. However, maybe the cost component for that piece is minimal and we can make those decisions within, our ability, and we can certainly keep it specific to that and then bring forward more information, big picture things to the council can certainly do that. This was I wanted to at least have the opportunity to have a conversation with the council in light of the budget conversation. So this wasn't anything that the police staff weren't doing. I just wanted to make sure that we started the conversation. But I'll follow up and I'll send an update to the council with more details and we'll start to piece it together if that works.
Once that.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay. I was just gonna say, could we make a motion? I would make a motion that we allow the city administrator to look into it. And if changes have to be made so that the police department can be kept running efficiently, they can go ahead and make those changes.
Authorization.
Correct, to make the changes the police department's in need of. And then before we do a complete rollover of everybody and everything, we'd come back. Would that work?
I'm in
for
favor of
everybody?
that.
So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
So
you.
then they can,
Yeah, they can move
Yeah.
forward and get the things they need.
okay, next thing we're gonna bring up council reports. First off is the mayor. So, I did talk to Jenny, just so everyone's aware, and we are looking at when in January, having a workshop or something coming up in January so that we can look at priorities. Looking at, like you had mentioned, the Backage Road, that was one of the things that was brought up. Where are we with various projects? Where are we with our water study? We've had two big projects going on. Those are now out for bid. So, we can, what do we want to do as a council? Where do we want to have staff kind of, go recommendations, what we would like to see so that they know what they need to be working on, et cetera, from our position. So that'll be sometime there in January. The other thing I'd like to say is I have some presentations for Mr. Jacobson, Councilman Jacobson. So,
You're gonna arrest me?
oh no, you're not getting out of it that easy.
Yeah.
So we have a few things here for you, Don. Have a card from the staff and council for you.
Oh, my.
You're appreciating your work and their service. We also have a plaque for you in recognition of 8 years of service.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. We do definitely appreciate it. I appreciate all your input and all of your knowledge and what you've helped me with.
Especially on hot water heaters.
Exactly. Yep, thank you. And last but not least, I'm not worthy. I bow to the king. I'm not worthy. This is a certificate in recognition presented to Don Jacobson for demonstration of unwavering public service by running the shortest Nisswa City Council meeting on record.
When I went home and told my wife, I think that was the shortest meeting we ever had. She said, "You're always too quick."
Yeah.
Nancy, that's off the record.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And my turn.
Yes.
It's the last time I'll be able to do this, so I want to make sure that I get it in. Every year at the holidays time, I always bring up the point that I want to make sure everybody understands. We're not celebrating holidays. We're celebrating what's known as Christmas. And there's a reason it's called Christmas. And that's because we're celebrating the birth of the Savior of the world. And it's not a holiday time. It's a Christmas time. So make sure you understand what the holiday is for and don't lose the true meaning.
Thank you, Don. Jesse.
Thank you. I appreciate everything you've even taught me in my short time here. You will be missed. And I wish you the best in full retirement now.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have nothing else to report except wishing everybody in Nisswa a Merry Christmas. And thank you to the staff for a great year.
Mark.
I'd like to thank my elder for everything he's taught me as well. But thank you. I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And it's been an interesting 2 years for me already. So I look forward to working with everybody next year as well.
I just wanted to thank you, Don. First couple of meetings, I'd be looking over and it would be time for a motion and your eyes would start going wider. And I'm like, is he upset with me? I haven't made a motion, but I guess it was that urging to make the motion. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And staff, thank you for a great year. I know we've been putting you all through the ringer with a lot of work for stuff, but you've come through. We appreciate it. We'll be moving forward and continue to move upward. So Merry Christmas to everybody. And with that, we are going to recommend the city attorney move. You want to do this, Tom, for your last time?
Oh, gee. Fundsville. Last time, you sure I'm not gonna come back in 4 years?
Well, you
you
start
could.
the other committee
You
assignment
do.
in January. You
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, let me see. I'll. Yeah, pick up the different ones.
Read it.
Okay.
Right, come on.
I'll move that we accept the recommendation of the city attorney and move to a closed session pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D.05, subdivision 3.c, to consider offers of property purchase. And following the closed session, we will return to a regular meeting for nothing more than
To adjourn.
yeah.
I'll second that.
That's one reason I'm quitting.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're now in closed session, so we'll give the.
We'll take about 5-minute recess
Yeah,
to get
take a
set up.
5-minute recess. Can Joe stay? No.